So we're now playing game 3, and it's Old Country. The Koreans decided on Old Country as their map of choice for game number 3. It's a 1-1 tied series. In the top, we have Knight, the teal Zerg, and his Danish ally Lillekanin, the green Terran, facing the Koreans MyuNgSiK here, the red Protoss, and his ally Fox in pink. And it's going to be a Terran Zerg versus Protoss Terran. So the reason they probably chose this map is their strengths are really in the macro, the late game. They're just slowly eating the map, choosing the right engagements. So we're seeing here that this kind of map here, it just favors slow play. There is no rush, destructible rocks in the middle. The two maps are split up in top and north, so we're not expecting any kind of cheese from either team. No all-ins. There are potential 2 base all-ins on this kind of map. You'd be surprised how fast these rocks can just fall down if Lings just start swarming in here. But for the time being, I'm expecting a lot of greedy plays from the Protoss Terran. And the top here, we're going to see more specifically what Lillekanin, the green Terran, is going to do. It really boils down to what he does, if he's going to go for some 1-1-1 play or if he's just going to go for an eco build. We're seeing the barracks coming down here, and we are seeing here a gateway coming down from the Protoss. So they're not actually, none of them is going for a CC first or a Nexus first, although they might have the opportunity. At the same time, we are seeing that the Zerg is going to go for the 15 hatch at the gold rather than his natural. This has sort of been a standard here for Knight throughout the tournament. He likes to do this and usually also get his third here at the other gold here. So there's a quick pause here, and while I do that, I'll address some of the issues here in chat. Don't Care ASDF is asking, is there defined 2v2 meta in the game? All he's played on ladder are 1 base all-ins. So there's been definitely a meta shift. In Wings of Liberty, it was a lot cheesier. The maps and the way Wings of Liberty worked allowed for a lot more 1 base plays, and Lings and Hellions were just really strong. There were ways for Protoss and Zergs to defend, but it relied a lot on like 1 base plays, Blink Stalkers, Lings, Banelings, stuff like that. But as these maps get bigger and bigger, and as players get better at cutting edges, they know how to go 1 racks into a triple CC while defending all sorts of cheese. So what happens is you take damage, but you defend, and then you come out on top. And so people stop cheesing as much in the meta because it just doesn't pay as well, statistically speaking, in the long run. And so in a similar way that Brood War had a shift in 1 base plays at the start of Brood War, competitive Brood War in 1v1, and then slowly started shifting into more what we know nowadays in StarCraft 2, these very heavy eco, fast expos to your natural kind of bases. The team game scene has done that as well, and definitely the maps have helped a lot more. A lot less rush heavy maps like these destructible rocks or things like long paths to opponents' naturals. So we are seeing here that he is going for the Lillekanin build that has favored him a lot here, where his ally gives him that extractor and he builds that second gas. So he goes 2 racks with reactor and builds up a bunch of Reapers. And we've also seen here something that Kyo and some other Protosses usually do, is this is the proxy oracle. So he's just going to go probably a proxy oracle followed into an expansion. Whereas the bottom Terran is getting late 2 gas, so he just went 1 racks into CC followed up by his 2 gas, and he's going to start adding his infrastructure right now. So none of these players except for the Zerg is going for a really greedy play. The Zerg going for 3 hatch before pool because he feels confident against the Protoss Terran that any kind of aggression that they throw out right now, especially now that he saw with the Overlord a little bit about what's going on. They saw that there's no like weird kind of proxies going on. This kind of proxy here is very standard. It comes a lot. However, the Koreans might have done a special kind of timing. It is a little bit earlier than we saw in that other game with Kyo, but Lillekanin's engineering bay is finished, so if he gets the turret in right now, he might be able to defend this. It's going to be barely finished as the Oracle swoops in down here. So the timings of both teams are impeccable. This 5-minute Oracle is very strong in, I've seen this sometimes in 2v2s, and it can be very devastating. So he is going to lose a good amount of SCVs here. That's 6 SCVs, but he is going to be able to defend this. And at the same time, he does get these Reapers out in here. So he's going to get some scouts. I would have liked him to poke maybe here on the Protoss a little bit more. He just wants to quickly see the tech here. He sees a bunch of infrastructure going down. He's just assuming that this is like, you get your expo and then you start cranking out the macro. kind of play here. There's nothing gimmicky going on, no 1/1/1s, no mine drops, no Hellion drops. The stuff that Terrans love to throw at each other in these kinds of 2v2s. It looks like both of the Protoss and the Terran and the Korean team are just going for a standard, do a little bit of a pressure into we're just both going to macro and then get a big army going. I like this spread here. I'm not exactly sure what the spread was. Maybe he was worried that the Oracle was going to chase down the Reapers. He wants to lose the Oracle as much as possible. In the meantime, the Zerg is just getting massive economy going here, just pumping out drones like there's no tomorrow. And we're going to see what his tech choice is once he gets his lair going. He is going double Evo, so he might be going for that Roach Hydra play. But it's hard to say. We've seen him get the double Evo and upgrades going, but then still focus on mutas, and then just have the upgrades in the backhand in case he needs to switch tech. The Reapers do pick off the pylon, so the third Void doesn't come out here just yet. And 2 Voids are actually pretty annoying against in this kind of situation. There's not a lot Lillekanin can do here if the Voids start like hammering at his eBay supply, his gas. He does have a scary amount of Reapers, so Lillekanin really committing here to this Reaper harass, and I'm just worried here that these Reapers are not going to pay off in the long run. It's just delaying his own tech. It's delaying his expo. It's just going to put him a little bit more behind. I mean, he got the scouting information he wants. He's trying to find an angle of harass. He wants to, delay harass as much as possible as his Zerg gets bigger. And I think they're communicating this back and forth to each other, that he's worried that they don't have going to have a strong answer for a possible 13-minute or so timing when these Protoss Terran army starts moving out once they've secured and fully saturated 2 base economy. So that's why the Zerg is going for this 4th, and we're seeing he's actually not opting at all to go for any kind of mutas. He just needs, and Lillekanin has almost nothing to offer in terms of defense. So we need an answer to that. These Voids being incredibly annoying. I don't think Lillekanin expected this. I don't think he realized how annoying 2 Voids in the back of your base, if constantly microed, can be. He's trying to harass here as much as possible. A little bit of a mismicro here, losing some Reapers, and these Voids are just going to town. 2 Voids just working on these buildings, slowly whittling down the supply line. He's only at 33 supplies. Take a quick look here. I mean, look at this, guys. We have 33 and 100, and on the other side it's a little bit more balanced. So it looks like the Protoss and the top Terran are the ones that are playing a little bit more of a low eco. He really delayed this Nexus as much as possible to get a lot of harass and make sure that the Terran's small. And the bottom Terran here is cranking out for like a standard biocomp to deal probably with the army that's going to come here from the Zerg. Generally in 2v2, like if you're straight up 1v1ing, Roach Hydra is not really the comp of choice against a Terran, but in 2v2, because the synergies, it's not that bad. But if this Terran here can't really contribute anything to the party, then I don't know if this immobile Roach Hydra is going to be really an answer for the front door. Lillekanin even actually forced here to lift. He's like just struggling. He's been asking for some help here. He's like, Knight, you gotta send me some Hydras. You gotta do something here. And Knight's doing his best that he can here, but just the mobility here of these Voids are just going seesawing back and forth and back and forth. And MyuNgSiK really putting in that multitasking to the test. And in the meantime, he got a second 2 starport. So the proxy starport has sort of been forgotten here. He's actually going more starports and just getting air dominance. So he's just going to transition into more and more air. And that's just going to force the top team to get comps that counter air that will be easy pickoffs for his Terran ally. So he's bottlenecking the top players into the composition that he wants. And not only that, these Phoenixes keep up the harass, the mobility. It's so interesting to see how a Protoss Terran team that's generally the race comp that's less mobile are the ones with the incredible mobility here. The drops on one side, drops on another side, and the Phoenixes being incredibly annoying. They're just slowly working down Lillekanin and Knight, just breaking them down bit by bit. And Lillekanin's supply here is just dwindling. He's almost out of the game at this point. It's almost a 1v2. And Knight is just being strained here. He's being torn on all sides. He has to defend on this side. He has to defend on that side. There's so many different angles of approach. And there's still a mine over here that needs to be cleaned up. And his Overlord count is actually coming down. He didn't expect Phoenixes, after they unpowered the Stargate, he didn't expect more Stargates in the main the Protoss. So he didn't pull back all his overlords. He kept them out for vision of drops, but they're all getting picked off here. Let's just look at here. We got 1 kill on that Phoenix, 1 kill on that Phoenix. So far there's going to be 4 overlord kills here for the bottom team. And however, throughout all that, we just still see he still has max, so he's doing a good job here at keeping his cool. That 4 base play, that early macro that Lillekanin, his Terran ally, sacrificed, is playing through, and he's realized now, okay, Protoss invested a lot in this extra air. I wonder if he has a lot in ground force. And so they're scanning here, and interesting enough, Protoss doesn't really have a lot in terms of meat, of units on the ground. He has a lot of tech units, double Robo, double Stargate, very unorthodox, but standard sometimes in some of these 2v2 games, and Terran has been dropping so much that he doesn't have a lot in the front door. So Knight is just coming in here with his gigantic army. SCV is being pulled, and the Colossus need to stay alive to start working on those Hydras in the back there. But, you know, is it going to be enough? Are they going to be able? The bunker falls down, probes being pulled in as well, and look at the supply differences here. Red's just dropping really fast, and so is the Protoss. At the same time, we're seeing a base race over here at the top. I mean, the Oracle and the drops in the mines, everything is in tatters. It looks like Knight is sort of spreading himself a little bit thin here, needs to regroup his units and focus fire this Nexus. That's exactly what he's doing right now. And they're just trying to muster any kind of units here. No rally on the lair here. He's just trying to get some units out to be able to block these drops. And it looks like the Protoss Terran team has just lost their naturals here, but they still have infrastructure, and with the wall up here and tanks, you really can't go into the Terrans. So instead he's opting in to go into the Protoss base, and only 1 Colossus left, and almost no minerals or income here to speak of for the Protoss. I mean, he still has a little bit of minerals, but it's really the gas. I'm making Zealots at this stage is not really going to do anything here, and a lot of the tech, some of the Protoss tech falling down here. And his Terran ally is trying his best to just keep the Zerg at bay, but look at all these roaches streaming in here. I mean, I think there was like some feeding going on here. They're just dumping everything as possible right here to be able to kill the Korean Protoss. I mean, what a switch of the game. We were just seeing the top side getting picked apart here from the constant harass, but it just leaves nothing at home. And Knight realized that, and so they just opted to go for a risky play, to just waltz through the middle of the map, and it's paying out incredibly here. So we're seeing here that 4 Stalkers are being evacuated here. He has some little bit of money left, but he's just feeding it right now to his ally. So now it's down to the Terran, and the Terran has 1 base against a 4 base here in tatters, but albeit still a 4 base Zerg at the top there. And now they're starting to hammer here. Zerg taking a lot of losing tons of units here, but it doesn't really matter here. He has so much. He's almost still max. 170 supply versus 50 supply. And this could be just it. This could be the winning maneuver here, and it's going to be GG. The Koreans are going to lose game number 3, bringing Knight and Lillekanin to 2-1. What a course of events. It just switched back and forth, and before you know it, I just can't believe it anymore. The Koreans, they seem to be in such a dominant position. But I guess that Protoss, dedicating himself so much to the harass, his natural was so late that, and then he went greedy after that. 2 Stargates, and then 2 Robos. No meat, no gateway units to just be able to stall, no force fields, none of that. And it was just, I guess, too cocky play from our Koreans down here. Regardless, well played and well executed by both teams, and we're going to go into now the next game, which could be the last game if Knight and Lillekanin win this. So it's a do or die for the Koreans. They're down 1 game. It's 2-1 for Knight and Lillekanin. And it's the Koreans' turn to choose the map. So they got to choose very carefully a map that's going to support the Protoss Terran style.